You are now watching Raptor Nation Podcast, a fan-made pod that covers news on your Toronto Raptors and the community.
Welcome back to another episode of the Raptor Nation Podcast. I'm your host, Mel, and Marcus won't be joining us today, but don't worry, he'll be back next week. So today's episode is about a topic that is very close to my heart, and that is women in sports. More specifically, sports media, but we're just going to be having a discussion about this today. And then later on, we have a very special guest joining us, Raptors in-game and digital host, actress, and multi-platform digital personality, Kat Stefankiewicz. I'm so excited to speak with Kat. She's been one of my major inspirations from the time that I began watching the Raptors. Anyways, women, sports media, two very beautiful things, especially when they're put together. Unfortunately, sports media has been a predominantly male-dominated industry for a very long time. And with this field being so saturated with the, I guess you could call it a blueprint, being the straight white male, there is a huge lack of diversity on numerous different levels. What this brings is a lack of perspective. You can't have an industry based upon a certain strict blueprint. While over the past decade we have seen a rise in diversity in the sport media industry, I just feel like we aren't even close to where we should be. We've seen more people of color and more women in the industry, but we're still lacking this diversity on a huge scale. And I personally would like to see more women of color, specifically in this industry. People underestimate the impact that this has on an audience. Say, for instance, a young girl of color loves watching basketball. She wants to work in the field, she wants to interview her favorite players, but she's told at school by the boys in her class that sports is something just for boys and boys only. That she shouldn't even be watching sports because that's not what girls do. Then she goes to watch a game after school and she doesn't see very many women broadcasting or interviewing people or commentating. So these stereotypes pushed upon her, mixed in with the lack of diversity in the field, is almost enough to make her want to give up. And she feels like she doesn't belong there and she can't do it. And this was me. I felt this way when I was 11 years old. Now I'm 18 years old, and despite what people told me, despite the lack of diversity, despite the lack of women, despite all those challenges, I still know I can do it, and I've been feeling this way that I can achieve this since I was around 13 years old. I knew it in my heart that I could do it and that I was meant to do it, regardless of any stereotypes or preconceptions that people may have. My opinion or outlook on this didn't really change until I saw certain women in the industry, such as Kate Barnes or our guest today, Kat Stefankiewicz. These women provided me with the opportunity to see strong, talented women working in the field, and without them, I truly don't know if I'd still be seeking to work in this industry. I don't know. The negative opinion surrounding women in sports still exists. I can assure you it still exists. I face it every day. I hear it on social media. I've heard it in person. It still exists to this day. Even though we've seen a lot of progress, we are not over. We're nowhere near over. And just going back to the lack of diversity, it affects kids, and it really strengthens and pushes out that narrative that sports is quote unquote manly, which it absolutely is not. The use of this stereotype is completely futile and outdated. What I want to see is more women fill the roles of play-by-play announcers, more women managing or coaching teams. These are more common positions and you often see them more. I would like to see more women in these roles because it just shows them in a bigger position. And just to touch on the coaching thing a little bit, I love Greg Popovich, but I absolutely cannot wait until he retires because I'm so excited to see, hopefully, Becky Hammon step up and be the head coach for the San Antonio Spurs. I'm just so excited for her. She's amazing. That'd be very beneficial for us to see a female head coach in the league. Another point that I just wanted to bring up, it was actually first noted by Karina Mustafa, who joined us last week for an episode on the show. She said, if you want change in the industry as a whole, you need to replace the older generational blueprint that is filling these decision-making roles. There is zero diversity in those positions, and that's why I think we see such a lack of it. And that is exactly why, whenever efforts are made towards women in this industry, it seems kind of performative. For example, the Raptors women's broadcast back in March. I absolutely loved it. It was a complete change of pace, quality, and talent on the broadcasting end of things. They were not only engaging for the audience, but they knew what they were talking about. Extremely talented and entertaining. Literally everything you want in an on-air media personality. Tell me why. Tell me why this broadcast only happened once and during Women's Month. There are so many things that could have been done to make this seem less performative. Making it a one-time event shows your audience that you're not serious about this topic. And the fact that you don't talk about women in the industry ever outside of this event, it makes a lot of viewers distrust your efforts, especially a lot of women. I know I'm speaking about all the negatives and everything, but I truly enjoyed this broadcast. My favorite broadcast of this season, easily. I just wish it happened more than once. It doesn't even have to be a regular, like a super regular thing, but if it happened more than once, then I would believe the efforts that were made towards this issue. And I wish it would have given a chance to the women involved, such as Kate Burness, Kayla Gray, Amy Audibert. I wish it gave them another chance to showcase what they do and their talent. I get that these are small steps, and I don't know if I'm just being eager and I want change to happen ASAP, but I just truly feel we should be farther in the progress to fixing this issue than we are currently. Another thing is how events like these help combat stereotypes. Seeing the women there on TV, especially for boys, it inclines them to listen to the women. This is good for young boys who watch sports because from a young age, they see it as normal for women to be in this field, and they will look at them and see that they are just as knowledgeable as men. Whereas in my generation, or maybe older generations, there are still boys or men who like to make jokes about women in the industry, or they simply just don't see them as qualified or equal as the men, when most of the time that they are more qualified than them. They're more qualified than the men. Another problem that I and some of my peers have noticed is the fact that usually when women are covering sports, they're usually standing, opposed to the men who sit at the table. I don't know if this is a big thing. I don't know if it's a coincidence or what it is, but it really bothers me because I don't know if it has something to do with maybe showing their body to appeal to a certain audience or something to get them to watch. I don't know, whatever it is, I don't like it. Like, for example, they always have Kate Burness standing while the guys on TSN are sitting down. Why do they need to be sexualized? So getting back to the diversity thing, I think it's so important to have diversity in anything, really, everything, especially media, that it's something that the public is consuming. Having diversity inspires people. It makes them feel like, hey, I can do this too. It makes them see themselves in other people. And who knows, it could allow them to take a certain career path that they initially believed that they couldn't do. Overall, I just wanted to say, women in sports media are always such talented, hardworking, and amazing individuals who have to go through so many hurdles and challenges to get where they want to be. I haven't met a single woman or girl in this field who is lazy, unkind, or anything negative. They're truly always such incredible people and strong people, and I can't wait to hopefully one day get to work with some of them. Speaking of strong, hardworking, and incredible women in the sport media industry, I'd like to welcome Raptors in-game digital host, actress, and multi-platform digital personality, Stefankiewicz, to the show. Welcome, Kat. How are you doing?
I'm well, thank you. I am impressed with the pronunciation
Thank
on
you.
my last name.
I had to make sure I got it right. I was practicing.
No, you did so well. I just got out of a rehearsal and some of the names were like a little bit more difficult to pronounce. And I said, like my last name's Stefankiewicz, so I've always like made a point like to make sure I get everyone's name right. So I appreciate that.
Of course, no problem. I just want to say I'm really grateful having you join us today on the show. It means a lot to me. I've been a huge fan of yourself from the time I was 10 years old, maybe. I'm 18 now, so that's a long time.
That also proves how long I've been working for the Raptors too. I know when you mentioned that, I was like, "Holy wow, that's a long time." But it's lovely to meet you face to face the way we can right now. I guess we have met, you said, but yeah, it's nice to chat.
But yeah, I just wanted to thank you for being one of my biggest inspirations, especially from a young age. Just seeing you on TV or at games, it had a huge impact on me for wanting to work in this field. Before I saw people like you, I didn't really feel like I had a place or that I could do something like this. But seeing you on TV and seeing how you are and seeing your success, I just felt like, okay, maybe I can do this too.
Oh, that's wonderful. And that means so much to me as well for you to share that. I think that's I know that's part of why I do what I do, to inspire other people, that maybe aren't the typical, type of humans that you see in the industry, if that makes sense. Right. But yeah, no, I do believe with passion and heart and hard work, you can get there too, no matter who you are or what your background is. So I love that. Mm-hmm.
So I have a photo I'd like to share with you before we get into the questions. I'm just going to text it to you.
I'm assuming it's us at a game together?
Yep. This is hilarious.
I'm nervous.
My outfit choice is just not.
Oh my gosh! Are you going to show people right now?
Yeah, I'm probably going to put it up on the screen when I edit the YouTube video.
Hey, we both went for hats that day, though. Yeah. That's so cute. That's, how old were you? 11?
I was 11, I think, yeah.
That's so cute. I don't know if you can see it, but look at that. Oh, I still have that shirt.
That's so cute.
So cute. See? Yeah, no, I love stories like this too, because I've actually talked to a lot of people that have now kind of ventured into the industry or are hoping to get into the industry. I know you had mentioned that you're going into sports media, which is exciting. So it's very cool to see that too. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, it's crazy that I'm now 7-8 years later, I'm interviewing you.
And at that time, did you know that this is, here I am interviewing. Yeah. Did you know that this is what you wanted to do?
Yeah, actually. I was just nervous. I didn't know how to do it or how to get started, but I knew I wanted to do it from that age, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, good for you. And you're a step further now going into school in the fall. So that's super exciting.
Thank you.
And reach out anytime for
Thank
questions
you so
or
much.
You're welcome.
So my co-host, he's actually not here today, but he lives in Florida. He's been to most of the games this season. And he wanted me to tell you, he wanted to say hi, first of all, but he wanted to say, you're an amazing actor. He saw a skit that they played on the big screen at the game.
No way. Yeah. I didn't even know that they're doing this. There must have been an old one.
I don't know what it was. He said it was with the Raptor. I can't remember the theme, but it was you with the Raptor. And it was just on the big screen. And he was like, wow, Kat's an amazing actress.
Yeah, well, thank you. That's really sweet. That's actually where I started. I started in music theater and kind of transitioned into the sports world. So, everybody assumes that you come from a broadcasting background, and I didn't. So those were fun to do. It's part of kind of the in-arena gig. I think I know the one you're talking about. I think it was like a Sharknado Raptor or something
I think that
like
was
that.
I think that was it.
Yeah. I know you sent me questions.
Yeah.
But I haven't looked at them, and this is the reason, because even 10 plus years in the industry, I try to continue to challenge myself, and sometimes I like kind of the raw and realness of not preparing for talks like this. So I'm just going to let you know, and that's kind of advice I give too, that no matter how long you're in the industry, keep challenging yourself, especially a lot of sports media or sideline reporting or in arena hosting as I do, like it's live, right? So I just keep challenging yourself. Don't stop learning. So I'm going to throw that out there
Thank you
as you dish me the questions too. Yeah.
Yeah. So you started off working with the Raptors dance pack, and then you became a host. You're also an actress. You're a spin instructor, and you advocate for a healthy lifestyle. Could you maybe tell us about how you're so versatile and how you're able to do all these things and fit everything into your schedule?
Yeah, because I get bored if I only do one thing. Honestly, it's just my personality. Like, I remember thinking about post-secondary, what am I going to do when I grow up? And, everybody kind of reaches out for that, the path that everybody takes. You go to university, you get your 9 to 5, and that's wonderful. I just recognized early on that it's not in me. I need every day to be different. You too.
Yeah.
You too. That's awesome. Yeah. And so the minute I, recognized or accepted that that's okay. It's okay to not do one thing in life. Like that's when everything started to fall into place for me. And like today, what was today? I just had a virtual rehearsal. I'm doing a podcast, going out to do a shoot later. And it's just like every day is different. And I just am so grateful for that. And so that's kind of been my journey. I've just kind of trusted what has been put in my path, and, had to make a decision once these things were presented to me. And again, like I really do believe that you can do more than one thing at a time. I'm not a huge fan of like titles, if that makes sense.
That's amazing.
Like,
I love that.
Like question, like, what do you do? Like, I hate that question.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, who are you? Like, so many things.
Yeah, totally. So I think for me, I look at it as more than your title, like, how you're making an impact on the world, other people, and what you want to share during your time here. So yeah, you can do more than one thing.
That's amazing. I feel the same way. Like I love sports and basketball, but I also do art. I don't know if you can see those paintings in the back. I have 3 Kobe paintings, so I do that.
Incredible.
As well.
Yeah. I just think like just find those things that like, I know everybody says it, but bring you joy, but actually, right? Yeah. Like, because that's what kind of drives you in your days, and you look forward to getting out of bed and moving with it. So yeah, that's wonderful that you're already feeling that way.
Yeah.
At such a young age. Yeah.
Thank you. So you mentioned that you've been living in Vancouver. So how has this past Raptors season been for you? Considering you haven't been able to be there in person, and what have you been up to lately? Anything new?
Yeah, it was different. It was heartbreaking, to be honest, at first. Mm-hmm. I don't think any of us realized or, kind of digested the fact that this pandemic was going to go on as long as it is. First with games being canceled last March, and then with the team having to play out of Tampa. Myself, my co-host Strizzy, and some of the personalities for the Raptors, we've been working remotely. It's been really wonderful though, because I've still been able to participate in these events that we've been doing with some of our partners virtually. That was my rehearsal today as well, where we still, bring in some of the players, still keep that hype around the team, even though that they were far away. I mean, the whole world's transitioned into this virtual, realm. But it's been really lovely, like coming off of those events and just being like, just getting that kind of a little taste of what you get in arena or during a regular season. Yeah, so that's what I've been up to. To be honest, a little bit of downtime. I had a huge cross-country move. I'm out here in British Columbia, and just really appreciating a little bit of, balance, or a little bit more like a slower lifestyle. I think I definitely was one of those people, especially breaking into the industry, where you get caught up in a little bit of the hustle, like you got to go, and I started, pulling away from that a little, and the pandemic definitely assisted with that. But moving forward, I definitely want to find balance when it comes to work and like for you, art, and doing all those things that make you happy too. So yeah.
Thank you. So has it been like a little bit more quiet than Toronto? Would you say that?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not in a big city anymore. I always say I'm like a small town girl at heart with big city dreams. So I really appreciate, like, you know, I can see the mountains and like the hikes and bike rides and all of that as well. It's so loud because we have construction right next door right now. So that makes it feel like home. But other than that, yeah, it's definitely been slower. It's a little bit of a slower pace. It's helped me kind of like, you know, I mean, cross-country move, decide, you know, what I want to do moving forward. I believe that we all have these like chapters in life, and I've definitely recognized that I'm coming into a new one and accepting that. I mean, you grow as a person, you change as a person, your passions change, what you want to, you know, give to the world changes, and yeah, so that's where I'm at, and I'm always happy to talk about it. Yeah, it takes a minute to accept it, right? Like all you know, and now it's like, oh, wow. Okay. Yeah, things are changing. Yeah, but I think it's good for us if change brings, you know, growth, and that's what we all should be looking for. So
yeah, I completely agree. Yeah. So anyone who follows you on social media knows you love nature and being outdoors and everything. I was just wondering, where did this passion begin?
Yeah, I mean, right from growing up, like I always played sports growing up, and you know, ran cross country, and then my parents, like, we always did like a 2.5 week camping trip every summer with all of my cousins. So there would be like 3 families and my grandparents, and we'd go. I don't know if you know Tobermory, Cypress Lake. That was our spot, and yeah. So I think it was just, I mean, it was all around me all the time, the nature element, and for me, I just love it. Like I love kayaking. I call it camp solo, where I go camping by myself once a year as well, which I mean to some can be a little bit intimidating, but I like that challenge too. And it's just the peace and quiet of nature. And I find that I get a lot of my creative like kind of prompts when I'm hiking or out in nature by myself too. Yeah.
That's great.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, of course it does.
Yeah, so coming out here, definitely a little bit closer. We're very lucky in Toronto too. Like, we have the waterfront right there, and that was a big deal to me. I spent a lot of time down there, and there's a lot of wonderful hikes and waterfalls and things like that in Toronto too. But it's definitely a different scene out here. So. Mm-hmm.
So besides sports, acting, and nature, do you have any other hobbies or any other passions that maybe people don't know about?
Good question. Plants.
Yeah.
Plants.
I love plants.
Gardening.
I've got 3 in the back there.
Oh, do you? Oh, yeah. See, but that's bringing a little nature into your place too, right? Yeah. I mean, I grew up dancing, so dance is still that you know, that movement, that passion for me. I'm a spin instructor, and I found that finding, you know, that really brought back a little bit of that dance element, because it's more of a rhythm style ride. So I love that. I love passionate about music. You can see the record player right there. Yeah. And I guess just any like art, like, yeah. There's a lot going on. Cooking. I love cooking. I love reading. Yeah, and I'm always open to trying new things too. My sister-in-law sent me like this link of a bunch of courses. That's the wonderful thing about the pandemic too, all these online courses that you can take, and it's all like kind of like artsy stuff, like calligraphy and painting, like behind you, your beautiful paintings. and I look forward to just like sitting down and taking some of those courses too. So yeah.
You should have a
How about
show.
you? What are like
You should have a show just where you showcase everything that you do.
You're cute. Yeah, there's a lot. Like I said, every day is different, but that's what makes me thrive. And I always say, run with it. Like if that makes you thrive, go with it. Yeah, yeah. You know, like at first I used to feel guilty. Like for instance, yesterday I split my work day. I got up, I worked in the morning, and then my partner and I we went down to like a little beach in the afternoon because it was beautiful and hot here, and it just gave us a little time for ourselves. And then I came home and finished, and I used to feel guilty for that, you know, being off the clock when people were on it. But I just think it's so healthy. You got to do what's best for you, and if you're still finishing your work, that's fine.
For sure. So, taking breaks is necessary.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah.
So just switching gears a little bit, who is your favorite athlete of all time?
Yeah, this one's difficult. I mean, I think everybody appreciates the Kobe's, and, you know, the LeBrons and all of those people for the same reasons. I mean, Raptor-wise, I think DeMar DeRozan is still a favorite. I think I really appreciate a player's like work ethic and what they use their platform for too. I know he advocates a lot about mental health. He started going down that road during his last kind of years with the Raptors, and now I don't know if you've seen that show. Did you see the Oprah Harry?
I haven't watched it yet. It came out on my birthday.
Highly recommend it.
Gonna watch it. I have to. Yes.
Yeah, I haven't seen his episode yet, but I've seen the first two, and I think I can only do one at a time. I was like bawling while watching. It's very powerful, but I just appreciate athletes like that can, use their platform and yeah. Even like Kawhi, that he can just like silence everything and just still stay in his element, and like it's so powerful to me because it's just more than the game at that point. So I'm always attracted to athletes like that. Yeah. How about you? Can I ask?
Actually, DeMar is actually my favorite player, as you can tell. Yeah. You see the jersey back there. But
yeah.
I used to have a fan page for him that I ran from I was like 12, 13, and I still use it now, but not that often. And I completely agree with
incredible.
Everything you said about him. You never hear anything negative about him. He's a great guy. I definitely love like what you said about how he advocates for mental health. It's extremely important how him and Kevin Love kind of changed that in the league, because it wasn't really talked about before them. So.
Not at all, and it's definitely grown. There's some outlets attached to the NBA now when it comes to supporting mental health and that too. So yeah, it's been a wonderful transition. I mean, I think in all sports, but because we are so close to the basketball culture, that's what we've noticed within. That's awesome.
So most people at games, they can tell that you're confident and strong. How do you keep yourself going when challenges arise?
Yeah, there's challenges, that's for sure. I mean, I'm very good. I think it's very important to stay yourself. And if you follow me on social media, I talk about my low days too. It's been a heck of a year, that's for sure, as we all have experienced in very different, some in the same way, some in different ways. I think at the end of the day, it's like sitting in silence and remembering who you are.